Yeah, pretty much at the fitting.
Sorry,
it got
guys.
referred to as core the whole year. I don't know why they don't like it. It just differentiates it.
It helps you understand what's going on.
Well, I suppose if you name something the Qi35 and then everyone just calls it something else, it might just be a bit annoying. It's like me just calling you Barry all day or something like that. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So I empathise there.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Kickpoint, the Golf Gear Show. Thank you very much for joining us for another big driver release. My name is Dan, and ready and raring to go is my colleague, my friend. Hello.
Hello, it's me. It's Joe.
Superb. Worst intro you've done yet.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. TaylorMade Qi35 is here, and we're here to talk about it, aren't we, Joe?
We are, and I've got mixed feelings about this one. I'm excited because it's a very exciting launch. It's quite a complex tech story, which I don't profess to be a scientist or a physician.
A drawing.
Hey, leave my drawing out of this until it's required.
It's coming up. So again, we're going to spend the whole episode on the new drivers, fairways and hybrids today. It's all we're going to do because we want to get really stuck into it. So buckle up. It's going to be a techie one by all accounts.
It is going to be a techie one. And like I said, a precursor to this, I like to think I know my golf equipment, but I'm not a scientist. There's some quite sciencey, physicsy stuff in here.
So I just got back from a trip to go and see Ping in Arizona, and because they're all very, very smart engineers, they were showing me a lot of graphs and a lot of numbers that I really politely nodded along to.
You said you felt a little bit out of your depth there.
I felt thick. I felt thick, but that's fine. So, but what we're here to do is break that down for the people. So that's what we're going to do today.
Well, I'm going to do my level best, and I hope it makes sense. So we'll find out, won't we?
Okay, housekeeping. Hello on YouTube if you're watching us. Please do subscribe or comment or like. Interactions help this thing grow. We really appreciate the support you've given us so far. So keep that going if you're on YouTube.
It's been good, hasn't it? It's been a promising start.
Very promising, and I'm enjoying our space on there. If you're on audio, hello. Thank you for listening. You are still very much part of the process here. YouTube is just another place we sit. So we'll be very prescriptive with all this stuff. If you can review us on those audio platforms, we'd be very, very grateful for the same reasons as I just said before. The sets were looking the same as it was last week, Joe, because we're doing this immediately after, and that's fine. And how are you?
I'm all right.
Let's just settle down before we get stuck into this.
I'm all right. It's been an emotional roller coaster of a day. You started off very fractious, like the child having a tantrum. You've sorted yourself out.
Straightened up.
Yeah, you've sorted that out. And yeah, we're just at one now. Like I said, I'm a little bit on edge, but I'll be all right once we get into this.
I think let's get stuck into it because I can see you're anxious. So, TaylorMade Qi35. Now, like last...
Done it again. Blown it. You've blown the introduction. I was going to give a big intro. The name is...
Yeah.
It, so.
As though people haven't seen it already come out, because we're doing this a bit after the embargo, is if they haven't seen it in the thumbnail, which the image will be, and is if they haven't seen it in the title.
Have a sense of theatre, Dan. Have something more there, please. Come on.
A sense of theatre. What is it, Joe? Because much like last week with the Callaway Elite, this is the first time I've seen it today, so I'm going to pretty much, again, have a day off. I'm going to sit back, kick back. I've got a Sprite down here. We're not sponsored by Sprite, but wouldn't mind it.
Call us.
Ever watch the Eric Andre show?
No. Peter's brother?
No. Gosh, no. Very, very different. Okay. But he wanted a sponsorship by Sprite. So I want to hear what you've got to say, Joe. My first impressions are... We'll come on to them. I want to hear what you have to say first.
Give me your first impression of the name, Qi35. What's you thinking there? Because I thought...
Fine.
Great, thank you. So I was thinking, like, are we going to get Qi11 after 10? Are we going to get Qi 10.2?
My interest was piqued by the number 35. I'm glad that they've kept Qi and much like Cobra have gone, we had a good driver last year. Let's keep that story, let's keep that familiarity, but refine it slightly. So do you know the reason behind 35?
Well, I wonder whether part of it is so they didn't have to reintroduce another iron set and they could carry on with the Qi irons in there.
Cynic would say that, Joe.
Cynic would. But
I'm glass half full might say it was just a very good iron.
Yeah, and I'm on that bandwagon. It was a good solid game improvement iron, and yeah, like it. So in terms of the 35, it's split into two parts. So the three of the 35 is about the three pillars that go into making up this driver. So we've got form. Oh, you don't like this?
Oh no, I don't like stuff like this. It really annoys me.
Okay, well let me explain.
Callaway Elite, Elite's good, and our founder's named Eli. Brilliant. This is like, yeah, so if you take 4 or 5 bits apart and you put them together, you get this magic number. Yeah.
You don't know what it is yet?
I'm already cynical.
I see that. The three pillars of this driver production are form, so the looks, function, so how it works, and fit. Fit is a big part of this.
Every driver on three functions.
Yeah, but they're highlighting it, and there's a particular highlight of the fitting part of it. So just just get with the program here. Bear with me. And the 5
Just gave a Jim from the office look to camera there. Just
You
a bit
certainly
like,
did, didn't
look
you?
at this guy.
You certainly did, didn't you? And the 5 is for, this is an odd one, for the number of heads on offer.
Eh?
You're looking at 3, aren't you?
Okay, now I'm peaked. I'm set up. Oh, now I'm sat up.
So, John, we're missing Johnny today, producer Johnny. He would have done a very good
Johnny
Scooby-Doo
did a
impression
very
there.
good Ruby Roo.
However, heads. Let me start. So we've got the Qi35, which is the core model. That's not the one you picked up.
That's okay, but we'll bring the imagery up for the folks to see.
Then we've got the Qi35 LS, so the low spinning version. We've also got the Qi35 Max, which, again, following on from Qi10, they're the 3 models that we saw last year. There's also now a Max Lite. So you get the Max, and it's a much lighter head. I haven't got that one to test, but it's basically the same principle, but just in a much lighter head to allow people with slower swing speeds, people new to the game who might find sort of higher swing weight stuff a little bit more difficult to control. It's just another option in terms of weight there.
Built with the lighter shaft as well to accompany? Or
Correct. I think everything throughout it, I think there's
just a whole light build.
Holistically, don't quote me on that, but I think that might be the case because I haven't received that one to test. I've just got the 3 core models that have come in there. The 5th head, the mystery 5th head, there's actually sort of variations of the 5th head. It's a fitting head that all sort of major accounts, all major TaylorMade fitting accounts will receive. And this is cool. You genuinely don't know.
I genuinely don't know about this.
I was hoping you had.
We normally have a little chat, but we haven't. So
or sometimes you independently research.
What? Then it's not a shoe. I don't care.
That's a very good point. So, yes, for all major TaylorMade fitting accounts, they've built these very, very cool fitting heads. So if you've ever been on a GC quad, you'll know that you have to put the stickers on the face of the club for it to detect all the club data, face rotation, face angles, etc., etc., etc. What you're doing there is great, and that's fine, but it very much relies on the accuracy of where you put those dots on the club head. If you get them slightly higher or lower and wider, you're going to distort the data somewhat about where your impact location is, what the dynamic lie angle might be, all that kind of stuff. So what TaylorMade have done here is they've built these fitting heads with these sensors in the face. Now, these are all RNA USGA approved. You can actually use these in competition, I believe. But those sensors are now inbuilt on the club face. So when you go on a 4-site GC quad, for example, it is the most precise fitting information you can possibly get. They're calibrated to within an inch of their life. An inch. Inch is quite broad. Within a point something of a millimetre. Correct. That's a bad turn of phrase. But they are super, super accurate, and they're the same in every head. So they've been machine engineered to be in the right place. You don't lose the stickers. They don't pop off. You don't get misreading.
Yeah.
It is incredibly, incredibly accurate. But you're thinking, well, what if I get fit on a TrackMan, aren't you?
I was literally about to ask you that.
Weren't you?
That's cool.
I could see it in your eyes. But it doesn't stop there. So what they've done with TrackMan is they've actually, you may not have seen this before, but you can input with the strike location feature on TrackMan, where it tells you exactly to the millimeter where you've hit that ball on the face. That is very dependent on the size and the shape of the head. So you can input some information generally to show the depth and the width of the head that you're using, so it gives you a very precise strike location. What TaylorMade have taken it a step further here, and they've actually given the CAD files of their driver to TrackMan to input into the TrackMan system, so the precise dimensions of that driver. So when you go for a fitting on a TrackMan, for example, with a Qi35, and the fitter types in, we're trying the Qi35 head or the Max or whatever, that actual image of that driver now pops up on the TrackMan screen when you see, when you see your face angle and stuff like that. The image of the relevant driver.
You're not just some generic driver, it's the one from the family.
And because you've got those exact dimensions through the CAD file, again, you're getting the most precise information you can possibly get from the fit. And for the geeks out there who want to make sure we're getting everything absolutely bang on, not to within an inch, as I earlier...
a great fitter. That's within an inch.
It's within an inch, that'll do. So yeah, I think that's a really cool feature that they've, people bang on about the importance of custom fitting and how important it is to get right and how precision and everything matters. And we're engineering drivers like shifting a gram here and moving CG there. It's only as good as it's fitted. So what TaylorMade have done here, they've really put their money where their mouth is. They've invested some thought and some time and created what I think is really, really cool system. I used it when I was fitted for mine. I thought it was brilliant. I just really like what they've done there.
Oh, it's really clever. I'm really impressed with that. I'm genuinely hearing that story for the first time today, as the listeners and viewers will be. And
so it's one of a couple of things in the launch season thus far that I've seen that's like, wow, that's new.
yes,
That's
it's nice to feel that, isn't it? And go, oh wow, they've really
with
thought
their new
about it.
adapter, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's too complicated or not.
I think it's too complicated. Get back to GCSEs. So.
Correct. Yeah, I just don't think it's that hard. And they literally give you a manual to work it out.
Yes.
It's not tough.
Yeah.
But they're new. It's trying to. We're pushing some boundaries. They're trying something different, and I think they've done this really successfully.
And like you said, invested some time and some money into this and gone, let's get this right. We bang on about fitting. Every brand bangs on about fitting correctly. We bang on about fitting because it's really foxtrotting important.
And from a
to see them actually invest in the hardware of fittings that are going to take place is great. It's great.
And I think it's smart from a retail point of view for fitters, for independent fitters, for people who are tied to 2 or 3 brands, maybe at their pro shop or whatever. I think 1 or 2 more people might steer towards, I'm going to try them in that Qi35 because I love the accuracy of that fitting. I love how that comes up on the screen as a fitter when I can show them.
So does it kind of add to the what's the word I'm after here? The
user experience.
Yeah, the theatre of the fitting.
The theatre.
We're back to bringing theatre to the game.
I think it does a little bit.
And you know, I was fit on Ping's new system when I was out there, and that's very visual. You can see things, and the whole fitting becomes a lot easier to understand. Is this going to do that? Do you think?
I think it is, and I think that's a very good point you make. I think for a while, fitting was kind of this sort of hidden dark art that you don't need to know. Just hit the balls. I'll sort all this out, and I'll tell you this,
which isn't nice.
It's not
you
know what's going on. Why we
if you're not that into your gear, or not that into the engineering and the science.
Yeah, why are we using this shaft? Why are we trying to more loft here? Why, if you can see that stuff really clearly on the screen, which this really helps with, I think it's really beneficial. So I think I'm really impressed with that as a concept and how they'd executed it.
Hey, and they'll probably sell more drivers doing it, which which is fine, but they've done it for a good reason. It'll be interesting to see if the industry follows, wouldn't it?
Yeah, This would be one I'd be very surprised if they didn't. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah,
just makes so much sense. I don't know what the financial implications of developing a system like that are, but they've done it.
They've done it. So the blueprint's there. So you'll be able to get that at any TaylorMade fitter have that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll take a while to get into process, I imagine.
No, I mean, all the heads are ready. From what I was told, again, I could be corrected here by the TaylorMade people who listen to this, but I think any sort of stock fitting account that TaylorMade would normally get their carts to, or even the premium fitting accounts, all on there. More stuff. I think every TaylorMade fitter will have these heads. I think.
Well, go and check that out. If
I'm nervous now, Dan, we're getting onto the tech.
So that's what I want to hear next. We'll talk about looks and performance in a bit, but now we've got that fitting story out of the way. As we did with Callaway last week, we've got to understand what TaylorMade have done and what they're professing to have done, and you're about to try and do that now.
Yes.
Why is this isn't good? Because if you're finding it tough, you're a clever man, clever enough, and you're struggling.
I'm not struggling. I get it.
We've got a piece of paper out.
I have. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Come on.
I think it's quite simple, but there's certain concepts that I struggle to get my head around. The idea of CG, I get where moving that in the heads affects flight and affects launch and affects spin. They've upped the game. They've upped the ante a little bit here. And we're talking about the main story here is CG projection. I know.
Yeah, I'm already a bit stuck on that.
Yeah, you don't. The good thing is you don't necessarily have to understand it to know that the driver's going to work.
You just go hit it.
And most players are going to do that.
I want to
try and explain what we're talking about here. So I've got a diagram.
Come on, are we getting out now? Yeah. Get it out, son.
That's a long way down there at my age.
Do you want me to hold it?
No, I don't. So, right, we've got a driver head here. This is going to be tough for the audio crew, but
do your best.
I've drawn a big shape of a driver from the kind of when you're looking at someone face on and you're seeing the toe end of the driver. I've got a little circle with a cross in where the center of gravity of this driver is. Then I've got a dotted line from there that projects out in accordance, sort of perpendicular to the loft of that face to a certain point. So that is the CG projection from what I can gather. Apologies if this is off the mark.
Projecting what?
Its centre of gravity-ness.
Okay.
That's where it projects to.
That's where the centre of gravity is pointing towards.
Correct.
That's where you want to hit it out.
So coming off the loft of that face, back to where that CG is located, for example, in this driver, that's where we are.
That CG could be further back in a more forgiving driver.
Which is what I'm going to draw now.
Lock in.
So when you try, if you keep it in place. So when you try and move this, if we move this CG straight back from here, and we've got now, oh, that was a funny cross. We've got a new CG location a long way further back. If we project that on the same angle as the last one, because of where the loft sits,
it's higher in the face.
It's significantly higher in the face. And what that does, we'll definitely pop this up on YouTube.
On Instagram.
I don't even know if you can see it now, but we'll
Can
try and
they
get
see
it
it?
so
They can see it. The camera crew said yes.
So let's pop it
Sort
down
of.
with that.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
That's a shame. What's the point of that?
To show you how moving CG affects where that CG projects out onto the face.
Okay.
And the important part about this is we've spoken about gear effect before, haven't we? So where the ball impacts vertically. So gear effect is a phenomenon that can happen horizontally and vertically. So if we hit it out the toe, I've just dismissed that, haven't I? So hit the ball out the toe, generally speaking, the club face will pop a little bit open because of deflection. The ball will work its way back towards the CG in the centre, thus creating a slightly draw by a spin axis. Same off the heel. That works vertically as well. If you get the ball above the CG, or the CG projection in this case, in theory, the deflection will add a little bit of loft to the head because you're hitting above that CG. So it's, if you think about it in micro terms, it's going to tilt the head back a bit, if you like. And then the ball is going to travel back towards that center of gravity, which is going to reduce spin. So it's not going to spin up, it's going to top spin again, but it's going to reduce back spin is what it's going to do. So to create high launch and low spin drives, it is a lot easier to do that when the CG projection is low, because we want to get this ball impacting on the face above the CG, because above the CG gives us high launch and gives us low spin.
I'm nodding.
Are you with me?
I'm nodding. I'm with you.
So what TaylorMade have done is they've been all about getting that MOI up by getting the CG back, but getting it seriously low
and back
to lower that CG projection throughout the range, so we can get the desirable high launch and low spin flights, which I'll come on to in Qi35 Max a little bit, because that was one of my slight criticisms of the Qi10 Max. Although a brilliantly stable and forgiving drive, it was just a little bit spinny for me, which is what put it just slightly behind the G430 Max 10K for me, and I'm pleased to say that has been addressed. So they've done a lot of stripping weight from the crown and the hosel section to get that.
So to get this CG lower and further back, they've had to reposition some weight.
Redistribute discretionary weight, move it all around to create a lot of stuff. So they said it's from the crown section and from the hosel section, a lot of it has come from. So a lot of that discretionary weight has now moved back low in order to lower that balance point or CG location and create what they're calling a greater area of opportunity. So the area of opportunity in terms of high spin, high launch, low spin. Don't be so skeptical. High launch and low spin drives is in essence any area above that CG projection. So the lower we move it, with the bigger that area of opportunity.
You know,
you've got an area of opportunity to be more positive.
I'll show you my area of opportunity.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So that's the story in terms of the CG and how they're creating better flight conditions, or professing to claim. We'll be the judge of that in a moment.
Can I say something, Joe?
Go on.
I think that was really well explained.
Do you actually?
I've genuinely understood that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm a bit thick.
You see what I mean? I think it is a relatively simple concept, and it's explained well. I've seen it in the sort of press releases and the tech videos that we get. I think it's really well explained, but I was just thinking, every time I tried to explain it to someone else, I found it very difficult.
It's like an easy term. It's not a complex term. It's just hard to... Yeah, I'd have that in your back pocket for the rest of the year in case someone asks you about Qi35. But no, well done. So that's the tech story.
Yep.
We've got that cool fitting head story. What do you want to do next?
One more slight bit on the tech, which I think is important. A lot of tolerances have tightened up. So this is the tightest fit they've ever had between the face, so the carbon face, and the titanium area of the head. This is now the tightest. The gap is like 0.3 millimeters
between where and where?
Where the face joins this connection here between the face and the crown. So there has been occasions back, probably more talking stealth really. Although
you know what?
There was some tolerance issues. The face wasn't as durable. Maybe there was some cracking sometimes. That's something that's been definitely addressed here. The tolerances are significantly tighter. They're learning year on year because they were sort of big. They were early, and lone adopters of the sort of carbon
And
wood
we're still in the carbon wood era here.
Correct.
A few
So
years ago now.
yeah, now we're getting further and further down the road. Some little kinks have been ironed out with it, and we're talking little kinks because some of the best drivers in the world have been using stealth. What are you giggling at little kinks?
We've all got little kinks, Joe.
The best drivers in the world have been using stealth 2, QI10, your Scotty Schefflers, your Rory McIlroy. So if I'm referring to little kinks, they are the littlest of the little kinks, and again, they're all. I love
them out though.
Correct. I love that TaylorMade. They don't think they've got it, and they don't just rest on their laurels. They reinvent stuff and they reimagine stuff, and they've done a really excellent job there.
Okay, good. So we've got that fitting head. We've got the CG projection story, lowering it, getting it further back. We've got a large area of opportunity. We're still in the carbon wood era. Shall we do looks?
I think we should. I
Let's
feel lighter now. Now we've got that texture.
Genuinely, I'm really impressed with you. Well done. I'll speak to your parents later and give me well done.
Thank you.
Well
They're
done
coming
to
over
me.
soon.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
That's nice.
They're in France for context. Never mind.
Oh, look at them.
Look, you start.
So, again, this is my first impression today. We'll bring the pictures up for folks watching to see.
What have you picked up there? The LS?
I picked up the LS there. But the first thing that took me was how grey the crown is. Now, it's a matte finish with carbon. It's carbon, yeah?
Yep.
With that sort of classic carbon, pattern, as it
How you
were.
getting on with your words, Dan?
I've spent the whole day listening to you, so I'm struggling to speak. But it's incredibly grey. It's lighter than a charcoal almost, I'd say, which is surprising from the imagery I saw.
Surprising. What's your take on it, though?
Fine.
Okay, fine.
What's your opinion on it?
I love it.
Yeah?
I think, yeah, we see a lot of black. This is one of the lighter greys that I've seen. I think it's I wouldn't say a master stroke in terms of marketing, but you'll see that on the TV. You'll see your Schefflers. There'll be plenty of uncontracted players playing these drives as well. Because
It will stand out.
spoiler alert, they're very good. I think you'll notice.
Huh.
I think you'll notice
Good
from
point.
the colour what they're using. It's back to like the Aeroburner, R11,
The white
R15 era, the white.
yeah.
So just what great marketing. You knew when you'd roofed those as well, didn't you?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Couple of other things I'd like to say. It looks elsewhere. I'm including the grey top in this. It was just the first thing that stood out to me.
By top, that means crown. Crown, just for those people who want to be a bit
I'm
more
gone full layman. I'm back in layman zone. It looks amazing from every angle. It looks so unbelievably premium. The finishes across it.
Looks like the interior of a supercar.
Great shout. The glossiness of the area by the hosel here that goes across back past the speed pocket. The shine of the two weights in the front of the LS head here. The carbon finish on the bottom of most of the sole. The face just looks, it's black, all black, thank God. Carbon face looks so premium. It looks angry. It looks expensive. From every angle, this is the best looking driver I've seen for a long time.
Cool, that's the most enthusiastic I've seen you all day.
Yeah, that's
really
bright
enjoyed it.
hitting me.
I was letting you go there because I share your views. I saw it.
Again, images below for those, but
So
I'm all over his LR.
I didn't go to this launch event, which I was very jealous of. It was at the Kingdom in California. Our colleague Sam went to that one. Sent me some images while he was out there, so a pre look, and straight away I was like, oh, I text the TaylorMade people and said,
Guess it's in my bag now.
don't even care if it doesn't work. I think I want to use that.
It was like the Callaway Elite irons. You were like, they look so good. I don't care if they're rubbish.
Yeah, and
they weren't. And this isn't my order.
Maybe we're superficial, but the looks of these things are so important. You spend a lot of time with them.
Joe, we're lucky. We don't have to go and buy golf clubs because you test them and we get them and all that. But when the folks listening and watching do and go and buy that, it's a lot of money to part with. That would make me so excited. To hand my money over to a cashier for, because it's just fit.
Yeah. One thing I do like, it was so nearly 100% for me. There's just a little bit of green. It is so minimal. Like
It comes in on this head cover, which I'll bring up now, and I'll put a closer image up. But if I go to my camera there,
yeah,
but we'll bring up a closer image. It's this sort of, it's a pale green. It's like it's not an olive green. It's not a bright green like on Elite. It's not a leaf green. I don't know what it is, but it's not the greatest green.
Yeah. Whether you think it's the greatest green or not, I just don't think it needed. Like the sole of this golf club, I reckon it makes up barely half a cubic centimetre of the sole. It's like four,
tiny, isn't it?
4 tiny little dots. So it's so, I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. Maybe I should. I just think it would have been cooler.
We're down this road now.
We're down. I've walked down the path, so I might as well get to the gate. So I just think it would have looked a little bit cooler without.
It's my first time seeing it today. I am in awe of it.
Yeah, your first impression, you said, as soon as you put it out, you went, it's very grey, isn't it? And then
It's because of that top,
afterwards-
because that crown, genuine, when you put it behind the ball for the first time, it's a shocking grey, because I can't think of it when I've seen it's like a light grey.
but it's a cool grey.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's one of the lighter crowns I've seen that isn't white
Yeah.
or gloss. Well, not even gloss, because the gloss was a black. It's just one of the lighter crowns I've seen. The face is mint as well. It just looks $1 million.
Yeah, and that's, again, like we're stuck on looks here. I think you've nailed it. It's so premium looking. It looks, yeah, the interior of a supercar.
With this
a
fancy
bit of
black you've got in
tech.
it as well. Like, honestly, it looks like a special edition or something.
Yeah, it really does. That's exactly what it looks like. Some of those special edition releases they do where they just black it out or they murder it out. That's what's on offer to the regular retail consumer here. It just top
looks are
mark.
great, yeah.
19. I'll give you 99.5 out of 100 if you'd just taken that tiny bit of green away.
And it is
And
a
I am being
minuscule amount of green. It's tiny.
pathetic and pedantic there, but why not? We're here.
Got John to be pedantic.
Head cover, go on.
Oh yeah, should I get that out now?
Your thoughts? You've sort of alluded to it a
Here
little
it
bit.
is. Yeah, not for me personally. I don't love the silver. It's just a little touch too. And they've also not changed the construction of it since Stealth.
Correct.
We've got a Stealth head cover on set. It's over there now because we replaced it. And if you look at it from the rear,
Same
try to
panel.
get it.
Go on, get it.
Oh,
Treat yourself.
yeah,
All my marker pens are going.
Did you hold that?
Yeah.
Chaos. So we're both just leaving the set now.
I've got to hold things together here. So, yeah, my marker pen's gone. Dan's coming back now. The Stealth head cover, and in terms
Just
of
hold it. Just
construction,
hold it. It's exactly the same. Turn it around. It's the exact same head cover.
same size, same.
Some of the other brands mix up, like the Cobra, mix up the actual construction of it. They put that little pull-off strap, as we called it a couple of weeks ago, on there.
But I will say that the front panel here is very, very different. We've got these embossed
Of course,
QIs.
it's a different name, mate.
Yeah, but we've got, I mean, it's not just that, but we've got the embossed QIs. I think the construction of it's really, really good. I think, yeah, I'd go 8 out of 10 on that. We're lucky Emma from TaylorMade sends us all these fancy different TaylorMade head covers that we've got, this sort of thing. So I'd probably swap that out for one of those. But
Again, we're in pedantic zone here, but
We
we've
are
got to be.
in
We've got to
very
be.
pedantic zone.
But what's under it is just mint, isn't it? So, yeah, there you go. Okay, looks covered off there pretty extensively and quite glowingly.
Shall I go through the models?
Yes, please.
There's a little bit of a, is there a twist or is there a slight?
Is there a twist face?
Of course,
Yeah, of course there's a twist face.
So the LS models, I've been hearing lots of good things from the marketing team said about this and from some of their early testing.
But wait, the marketing team said it was good.
Shock.
Shock horror.
Shock horror, breaking news. However, I've tested it. I think it might struggle a little bit, the LS model, but for a positive reason.
Okay.
Which is weird, isn't
Talk me
it?
through
Which I'll
that.
get onto there. Well, it's going to struggle, in my opinion, because of the quality of the next model, of the Qi35. They hate calling it the core model, so sorry, but that's how people will
That's how we're going to refer to it all.
the mid-range, the core model, the standard model, whatever you want to say, which I'll allude to in a little bit more. But let me talk to you about the LS in its individuality first. Very pear-shaped. So much like the Stealth 2, this is kind of probably over the last few years has become the traditional sort of head shape from TaylorMade, almost throughout, but certainly in the lower spinning model. This is the first time the CG projection is
Remember that, folks. We did that
possible
earlier.
to get the CG projection below the center of the face in a certain setting in the LS model.
Yeah.
So that's big, because once you get it below that center of the face, what grows, Dan? The
Area of opportunity.
correct for high spin, high launch, low spin bombs. So rockets have got a setting they're calling beast mode,
Oh, go on.
where you move in the weights. So we've got 3 movable weights on the bottom. When you get that back weight that's currently there now, that's 13 grams. So we've got 2 lighter ones, a 3 and a 13 gram. There'll be lots of other different weight configurations available actually from fitting centers as well. But when we move that about and you get the weight forward and in the toe, it gets into that beast mode, which is really super, super low CG projection. Everything you hit will be very high
In the area of
low
opportunity.
spin bombs in that area of opportunity. The sliding weight's gone, as I've just alluded to. We've got 3 fixed weights. So what they're talking about,
Not fixed, adjustable.
adjustable, but what I
Not
mean is
sliding.
they're in the same place. So
There
you
you go,
can
fair enough,
you can
yeah.
adjust the weights about. So they're calling it their pinpoint weighting. So that sliding weight's gone because it took up a bit too much weight, they felt. So the weight itself didn't take up too much weight because it was the same weight
But
as the
the
weight.
facility it's housed in.
How it was facilitated and how it was held took up a lot of weight. So they've gotten rid of that, created their pinpoint weighting, which they find a little bit easier for fitting, and allows a bit more discretionary weight to be moved about,
which is important.
Where we want. Right, now we're going to get into numbers now. So 10K was the big number from last year.
Box over there. Do you want to nudge it out of the way?
Offset. Is that even in shot? There you go. We're gone.
It's gone now.
So 10K was the big number from last year, talking about that getting weight back, creating a maximum level of stability and inertia. So the LS has 7.7K MOI with the weight back. Beast mode, when we move that heavy weight into the toe and forward, 6.8K MOI, which is a little bit less. And I'll be honest, in all of the settings, maybe my striking is just not as good as it once was, and there's certainly some better ball strikers than me out there nowadays. I found it a little bit volatile.
Yeah, and sorry to nip you in your flow, but we spoke last week about Callaway's Triple Diamond, the old Tango Delta, their low spin being incredibly forgiving. Well, we gave in that category.
We almost gave it a personality, didn't we? We said it wasn't needy, it was understanding. Understanding the scenarios of my life of being a working man. Understood them even, of being a working man with kids and not much time to practice. It really understood my issue. Your flaws. My flaws. Not my flaws, my situation. This does not. This takes no prisoners. Okay. If you get it right, crikey, the rewards are on offer of some serious speed and some serious low spin. Don't cross it. would be my advice.
A really stern look then.
The heel.
Don't cross it.
Don't cross it. The heel and the toe are not forgiving it. They're not areas of opportunity for me in this. I did find it a little bit volatile. I think there's a time and a place for it. And again, if someone playing a lot of golf and you're finding the middle a lot, there's some serious speed and some serious low spin rockets on offer. For me, at my current state of my game, I just found it a little bit volatile. Also, I'm not and totally subjective this. Again, I'm not a big fan of the pear-shaped heads. In more recent years, I've been steering towards, and it makes nice sound, doesn't it? You rub it.
He's rubbing the driver for audio listeners. Can't just say it makes a nice sound when you rub it without context.
They know.
Do they?
But in recent years, I've become more of a fan of the more rounded shapes, almost like perfect circular stuff, which leads us on nicely. So I don't know, just shoot my eye a little bit more, because I used to be a big fan of drivers like the Titleist 975D, which is like the ultimate pear-shaped driver. But I think as things have got bigger and the CCs have gone up, I think I just prefer that rounder, more symmetrical shape to me.
In that tone, then should we move on to the next driver in the range?
Yeah, and this is the driver that's going to give the LS a bit of a problem. We got a range.
Max or core?
I told you I want core.
Oh, that's next to you there.
Thank you. So what an absolute humdinger of a driver this is.
Okay, talk me through it.
So obviously, I don't really know what more you want to ask for from a driver. We've spoken about the looks already. So the finish, the carbon, everything. But onto the head shaping. I mean, look at how rounded that is.
Yeah, that is.
So I didn't bring it, but the Qi10 TaylorMade hate me for this, but don't call it core if you ever speak to anyone from TaylorMade, but we're referring to it.
I'm sorry, that's how we took. That's our parlance. Get over it.
Dan told me to do it.
Yeah.
I thought I liked the Qi10 core from last year because I felt it was so much rounder than the LS. Then I put this down, and then you put that up against the Qi10 from last year. It makes that look like an LS now. That is so much rounder, and interestingly, it's got the exact same profile as on the Max. So, for example, last year you'd go LS quite pear-shaped, Qi10 Tour, pretty round, and then the Max was super round like this. The core's just stepped up and is now even rounder.
Yeah.
So I love that.
You do like that.
So the core model.
What's the core model called? Just Qi35. Okay, let's just do that. Let's just do that then.
So the Qi35
TaylorMade us.
Yeah, has now jumped up from, in Qi10 it was 8,500 MOI. Now we're up to over 9,000.
Quite a big jump.
More playability, and that's in with the weight back position. Where have you put it?
Sorry, I've taken it away from you.
Let me just go weight wise here. So again, we've got two split weights of this one rather than three. We've got one dead at the front in the center and one at the back. So we've got two options, 13 and 3 again. So I've put this in the slightly more aggressive spin setting and have been using it in that and find that absolutely fantastic.
Because you're getting the forgiveness that you weren't getting in the LS, but with that slightly lower spin because of that weight setup.
So I'm getting the forgiveness from the shape and the profile of this with, spread out a bit more. We've got more weight back and just the whole profile of it is a higher MOI profile of driver and a better shape to my eye, but I can get very near certain settings of the LS in terms of spin by moving that weight forward. So I just don't know, I don't know why, unless you're just in love with the pear-shaped head scenario, which maybe some will. Those would be guys.
Because I must say the difference in shape is quite significant.
Pretty stark, isn't it? So I can't see any reason, bearing in mind this other setting, we're getting the weight forward and getting that spin right down, and it is super low for me in that setting. Why would you sacrifice the extra forgiveness?
Yeah.
What, in my opinion, is also a better looking head, again, which is subjective. That's why I think this model will give the LS a problem, and its versatility. You're almost getting two drivers in one. Those weights make such a difference. My spin was jumping around a couple of hundred revs at least. I found it extremely playable and straight, forgiving with the weight back setting. So that might be where I spend most of the year if I do decide to play it. But I love the option that, you turn up on a day, the wind's howling at 25, you're going to have a lot of driver tee shots that are into wind, flip that into mini beast mode, if you like, and drop that spin 200 plus revs, but maintain a lot of that forgiveness. I just think it's going to cause a problem for LS just by like I said, that's why I think it's a good problem, because the quality of this, I think, will affect that. And we saw it last year with pretty much the whole TaylorMade stuff actually went into the Qi10 rather than the Qi10 LS, or variations of. There was a couple of tall variations of with the dot, but people seem to be steering towards that core model rather than the LS model. I think Fleetwood maybe have been one of the only ones that spent the majority of the year in LS. Even I think could be wrong here, but I think he flipped across eventually as well. I think it's interesting, the theme we get again. I just don't think there's enough playability in that to warrant the extra risk that comes
with missing it slightly.
That's what
it's so interesting you say that weight does make that sort of 200 RPM difference. That's pretty significant, and it means you've got, like you said, 2-in-1 there. The not dark speed, DS Adapt X has the exact same configuration of that front and back weight that you can change. It kind of gives you then, you've got your X, you've got your forgiving, but if you want to then touch or creep toward LS, you can, but in that same nice forgiving head.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. The only real reason, by all accounts, you'd want to go to the LS is that you just don't get on with that shape for whatever reason.
However, there are still, I'm talking sort of more generic people. There are a lot of people that I can think of that I've fitted in the past that are just such excessive spinners of the golf ball, present a lot of dynamic loft and need everything possible. Then you're probably still going to get another couple hundred revs less out of that. I'd still be scared of the
forgiveness, though. You can lose 200 in this if you do that weight, by all accounts.
Yeah, correct. So, that's why I think this will give the LS a problem. But it's just to this driver's credit. I just literally don't know what more you want. The premium looks, the forgiveness, the playability, the options to create a number of, 2 different ball flights. You've still got your loft sleeve on here, so you can change face angle, you can change loft requirements, you can do whatever you want with that. It feels great as well. I found it a little bit more higher pitch than the last couple of ranges. So
the first two carbon bases have been very dull, very
like cricket bat.
Yeah,
almost.
Good example.
This has got a bit more ting to it, which I like. So it just feels a little bit more powerful, and I really do like the sound this creates. I don't know what else to say about this. I think it's gonna, as I said, give that LS a problem. I think we'll see the same trend on tour. I could eat my words.
That's going to be a really interesting thing to watch, because, to be fair, by the time this comes out, I think the folks will be in Kapalua, won't they, playing the Tournament of Champions. So let's check that split out and come back next week.
Be interested to see. I just can't speak highly.
That's fine. No, you're done. That's fine.
Max.
So what's going on with here then? So it sounds like
brilliant.
Why would you go in this? All very good stuff. So are we close to 10K here?
Yeah, we're at 10K. So they've kept everything. So it's exactly the same head shape, as I said, as the core model, which is interesting. Slightly strange to me from TaylorMade. Well, not strange, but just different. You usually see 3 different slightly profiles.
You do, yeah, because you want to have that. You want to show that literal and visual differentiation between the family.
2 exactly the same here. I didn't love Qi10 Max.
That's okay.
For a couple of reasons. Like I said, I found it quite spinny compared to specifically the Ping G430 Max 10K. And there was a little bit of confusion. TaylorMade actually reached out to me last year because I did a bit of testing with it, and I was reporting some quite low ball speeds, and they one of the guys actually from the office did ring me up, so just talk me through it. I'm trying to figure it out, and he just wanted to know, and I don't know. I'm just reporting the numbers that I'm getting here. And we did a bit of sort of more chatting and a bit of independent testing. It turned out, because of how much they'd shallowed the head down and squashed it down,
It was like not a spoon, it's a hard word, but it was visually.
But yeah, they pushed it down to spread the weight wide. When they pushed it down, the hosel crept down with it compared to the other two models. So it lost about 1/4 of an inch in total height, basically. So when you put the same shaft in, you were testing the same shaft between the standard Qi10 and the LS. It actually came out maybe just over 1/4 of an inch shorter, which then prevented me generating as much swing speed as I would with some of the other models, which then translate into less ball speed and less distance, which isn't a problem because you can counteract that with going slightly longer in shaft. It made it a little bit more difficult though, because the last season's head was a bit heavier than the other models, so you get some swing weight issues. So it's just it was a bit jumbled in that sense for me, and also I just span it through the roof.
Yeah.
So I didn't find it as playable for a quicker player as some. There was some people that actually really genuinely had some great success with it on tour. Nelly Corda, someone who played it for the bulk of the year. Colin Morikawa, I think, spent a lot of time in Max as well, certainly dabbled. I would be staggered if he hadn't tweaked it a little bit with hot melt and moved some CG forward. Maybe just loved the look and the profile of the head and wanted. That's pure speculation because I don't know that, but I would be very surprised if he hadn't done that.
So with all that in mind, then what has changed in this one?
CG projection, of course, higher area of opportunity.
How silly of me.
So things have come back, gone lower. So we've got more of an area of opportunity above that, and it's actually CG projection is 15% lower in this than last time around. That equates to about 200 revs of spin, which is a very, very good amount, and it's
not suited off.
Yeah, it absolutely.
And increase the area of opportunity.
Correct. Yes, you love the area of opportunity, don't you? And not only that, they've addressed that. So the hosel length has been raised. So throughout this whole range, they're also the same playing length. Well, you don't need to because you just looked at the Qi35 and they are exactly the same. So yeah, the two main issues I had with an otherwise excellent driver last year have absolutely been addressed, and it's been put in a nicer looking package as well. Don't know what more I can ask from TaylorMade than that. And it is incredibly forgiving. TaylorMade did some testing with Fleetwood. So Fleetwood went to the King's. I've seen videos of that testing session, and very complimentary. Actually, think it was this model. It was either that or the Core, but he described part of this family as almost like the spider of drivers. So
interesting, yeah.
Spider putter being super high MOI, loads of weight back and wide, really incredibly stable. And that's what he described it as the spider of drivers. And I can't tell you how straight I was with this thing at my fitting.
So versus the Qi35 core model, what differences will people see and get? It's more forgiving because it's got higher MOI, but does it spin a bit more than the core?
Yeah,
still, but it's down on last year, is what you're saying.
Yeah, again, but which core? Like beast mode core, back mode core. So you've got
that core could be anything, couldn't it?
If you go in the neutral back weight setting, I would say neutral core is. Oh, I can't remember the actual numbers, but I think I was about 300 revs more in the max.
Okay.
But whereas last year that would have been 500-600 more. So it's closer, but you just
there's a clear difference is what I'm saying, because sometimes I get a bit, and I know folks at home will get a little bit muddled up with like, oh, which one should I be in?
Yeah, so as I said, in like Qi35, you've got 9k MOI reading. So we're going up 10% on that, back up to 10k. So you've just got that little bit more stability, a bit of a safety net, slightly higher launching, slightly higher spinning. And I was very close to, in the fitting, you sort of went into it just because I needed to test it out and things like that. And obviously I've done a bit of testing subsequently. I was very close to asking for that one, simply because you could literally throw a blanket over quite a lot of shots in testing, and driver accuracy and fairway percentage wouldn't be high on my list of attributes. I've got a lot of speed, but I can be a little bit volatile sometimes, and this was incredible. Really, really impressive in terms of its stability and consistency and what it delivered. And delivering all that in a package that's 200-300 revs less than it was last time round. That's absolutely exceptional.
It's a big win. It's a really big win to give yourself that, to address the issues that I'm sure people had, I'm sure TaylorMade were aware of, head on, do that, make it complement the set. Great.
And just to address anyone who's thinking, oh, crikey, I still need the spin, I'm a slower swing speed player, has this now become less playable for me? No, I think it's just become better. What you lose in spin, you'll gain in launch a little bit because of the area of opportunity in the CG projection. It pops out a little bit higher, doesn't spin as much, so you're not going to see much of a trajectory difference visually, but it'll spend less time floating and buffering, if you like, in the air, and it will still be going. It will still be going forward a little bit for more. You really impressed with 2 of the 3 models there. Not unimpressed with the LS.
You just think these are so good. It makes this not obsolete. These are strong words, but if you're,
I think there'll be less people in it because of the quality of the Qi35 driver. Personally,
it's a good problem to have, TaylorMade.
It is a good problem to have, and like you said, there'll still be, like I say, those niche clients that just super high spin that we need that to get them in any sort of a playable window. And there'll be people who've just gotten used to the shape profile of a Stealth 2, that kind of pear-shaped look, that love that will just figure out a way to make that as playable as possible for them. But like I said, I expect to see a similar trend to last year with a lot of the players in that core model more so than LS. There is also, I alluded to it before, the Max Lite.
So which shape is that mimicking?
Max
2 guys, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Ridiculous question.
Makes sense.
What are my worst so far?
I don't know. I think you've got there's worse than that. We can go about. But the Max Lite, it's 12 grams lighter, and it's because of that.
Just the head.
Well, yeah, when you take away weight as well, it's very difficult to maintain the same MOI reading. You need that weight to be able to pull mass back, etc., etc. But so it comes out at 9k MOI, so it's not quite as forgiving, but it is easier to move. Again, for those sort of slower swing speed players, something like that, getting a driver head that much lighter opens up a few more opportunities in terms of swing weights and shaft lengths and things like that. So I think that's it won't be much used, I don't think, but it's a good option for certain scenarios, I think.
Yeah, it's there. So 4 heads, that cool fitting head, that was a really cool story.
Yeah.
Before we summarise, we must talk about your favourites, fairways and hybrids.
Yes.
Now, I see actual notes this time.
Yeah.
Again, for those who maybe joined for the first time, hello. Our colleague Sam Diath, who isn't here, he's alive, he's just not in this room with us, reviews that stuff, doesn't he?
He does.
And passes on his fantastic technical information to you.
We've not promised here that I'll review or chat about the drivers, the fairways, the hybrids, the whole range.
I think I might have led with that at the start.
Okay, well, you shouldn't have done, because
we're going to chat about the fairways now.
We're going to chat about the fairways. I haven't got much on the hybrids. I don't actually think I know much about the models. So
well, let's just say there is a hybrid, and Sam Diath's wonderful review will be in the description down below. How about that? Does that make you feel comfortable?
Covered that off well, haven't we?
You do have some things to say about the fairways.
Fairways, yeah. So I've actually, funnily enough, I got sent the Qi35 fairway wood as well, because I fitted for that. Looks, again, it's a similar look. Just looks absolutely
everything
fantastic.
Which one did you get fit for the tour?
No, the standard, the middle Qi35. God,
so hold on, can I rewind here? Why does TaylorMade not want it called core? They just said to you, don't do that, please.
Yeah, pretty much at the fitting.
Sorry,
It
guys.
got referred to as core the whole year. I don't know why they don't like it. It just differentiates it.
It helps you understand what's going on.
Well, I suppose if you name something the Qi35 and then everyone just calls it something else, it might just be a bit annoying. It's like like me just calling you Barry all day or something like that. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So I empathise there. But the fairway story is an interesting one, because last year I've done some pieces on this. The Qi10 core model was a roaring success on tour, not only in your Rory McIlroy Schefflers and the TaylorMade Staffers bags, Fleetwood, etc. So many non-contracted players that I can think of
time and time again is such a sign for a good golf club.
What an indication. And you get some of these that come along every now and then. Rocket Balls was another one, the original RBZ. And that was very easy to spot as well, because it was bright white. But Qi10 core model fairway from last year, Wyndham Clark, Max Homer, Keegan Bradley, Hideki. Like, the list goes on and on and on. Just about, so popular. So tough act to follow. Now, this is, I go on about this a lot, don't I? Bonded hosel, adapter sleeves, so on and so forth. This is the first year all the fairways in certainly 3 and 5 wood got loft sleeves. There's nothing in bonded hosel, which I'm not happy with.
Why?
I love a bonded hosel, don't I?
You do love a bonded hosel, don't you?
Do you like a bonded hosel? I think that'll be available.
So Dash.
I think that will be available, and almost certainly will be available at a tour level.
course it will be.
because some will request that. But basically, yeah, there's a few design principles. So they thought before that you can lose a bit of speed in the face when you're introducing loft sleeves. For some reason, I don't know the physics or metrics behind that, but that's what's been said in the presentation. It's difficult to maintain the same speed when you've got that loft sleeve in a fairway wood, apparently. So they've done a lot of work on the speed pockets and the materials they've used to facilitate more speed and allow, because I think they've always wanted to have just be like loft sleeved up in those, because it makes sense to give consumers the adjustability to fine tune all that stuff. So they've now done all the work they needed to do around that to allow that to be the case. So still, if you go down into some of the models where there's 7 woods and even 9 woods, those are bonded. But I think
3 and 5.
I think
Ooh.
all of the 3 and 5s and 3HLs, I'm pretty sure they're all adjustable hosels throughout the models now.
Let us know what you think about that, because I'm ambivalent, quite frankly. I've got other things to worry about in life, but I want to know what people think about bonded versus non-bonded in fairway woods, because like we say a lot of the time, do you get fitted and just lock it in?
I think I had a look quite recently, and I think last time I looked, I think it was 9 out of the world's top 10 had bonded hosel fairway woods over adapters.
Yeah, but that's the elite of the world. I'm talking the folk at home who are playing. Do they want that adjustability? Do you like the comfort knowing, oh, if I do need to knock it down and knock it up, I can?
Yeah, worth asking the question.
You're so cynical about it. You're like, nah,
Just
effort.
bonded's the way forward.
Yeah,
But
okay, fine. Anyway, so they brought that in. That's fine.
that's fine. We've got 3 models. We've got the Tour, we've got the Qi35, and we've got the Max.
Do you know why I think it's annoying it's called Qi35, the
Go
full
on.
one, without another name after it? Because the Tour is called Qi35 Tour. The Max is called Qi35 Max. In the middle one's called Qi30. It doesn't have a little name, so we're
Yeah.
giving it the name, which is Core. But if they just came up with Qi35
Go on.
Gary,
Yeah.
then it would have, it doesn't have a name. So when you say Qi35, someone's going to go, oh, which one are you on about? The Tour, the Max? And then so you say Core to
Good
stop that
point.
confusion.
That is a very good point, but how do you solve
about
that?
that
The Qi35 mid.
Yeah, mid.
Stock.
But mid's not a great word. So
None of them.
like
There's not many good
stock.
adjectives.
But that's why they probably don't want it called Core, because they don't want to be seen to be pushing someone into something. They want to be seen to opening up all 3 options to people.
Good
This
point.
is boring name.
Do you think we've exhausted this point now? Feels like we
I
have.
just had a eureka moment of why we keep calling it Core.
Thank you for sharing that.
Where were you?
3 models.
Thank
We're on
you.
to the Tour. We're going to start with the Tour. So that is
Same?
slightly smaller profile. It looks very samey, I'll be honest, in profile to the Qi10 Tour, which wasn't a flop, but again, it was just a victim of how good that core model was. So we're back at, it's 170cc head. There is quite a cool little thing they've done with the back weight. So the Qi10 Tour had a big sliding back weight, massive thing.
I didn't like
yeah,
that. It looked
didn't like
it
it.
looked like a bad carpentry job.
It's not dissimilar, so don't be too critical.
Oh.
However, they've made a nice little trick to this. So instead of having that weight as a uniform block that just goes back and forward and shifts a load of weight around, they made it asymmetric. So it's thinner and lighter at one end and almost not diamond shape, but it's slightly thicker and heavier at one end than the other. So if you want to have a load of weight forward, not only could you push the weight forward and do that, before you do that, you can pull it back, take it all off. That was my pizza tummy. That was my pizza tummy. Take the whole thing off, flip it round so the heavier, larger end is now pointing forward, and pop that forward. I like that.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I think that is really clever.
Good.
Just a way of turbo forward in that way.
Is that like another beast mode sort of setting?
Kind of, yeah. And also
Really.
similarly, if you flip the big fat end to the back, you're going to get turbo MOI
Okay.
at that end. So I think that's something that's kind of cool, that you've got the option now to rotate that as well. I quite like that. That's available in 3, which is 15 degrees, 5, 18 degrees, in right and left hand, and there's a 7 wood in that for right hand only.
Well, what's that all about?
Sorry about that. Yeah, you get done over there, don't you?
Yeah.
So 2 gripes there. Look after the minorities like Dan throughout the range, and I always just harking back to my day. I just like a strong 3 wood. I don't know why there's no rock.
They're out of the game broadly, I think. Aren't
People are
they?
going down the mini driver route to accommodate those sort of 12 to 14 degree kind of options. But if you still want that, but in a more compact head, no one's really doing it. They'll argue that you can put that, just knock it down on the loft sleeve,
Yeah.
which you can, but the face opens right up. And then you're in the angle changes.
I'm not into
and
all of that.
so I would prefer to have a neutral option. But
But for folks like you, your 3 woods are off the tee jobby, isn't it? Because you hit it so far. So it is for the minority, and therefore, but I'm still surprised there isn't that option.
But again, there will be on tour. I've no doubt about that.
Lucky guys, and girls. Okay.
Then we're into Qi35. Stop. It is bigger than the tour model, so slightly higher CC. So it's lowering that CG projection story again. So it's following on from the very successful Qi10 fairway wood, but they've lowered that CG to get that projection down to allow higher launch and lower spin. So it's got a slightly lower profile. Because of that, it's been squished down a little bit. Options there: 3 wood in 15, a 3 HL, so in 16.5 degrees, so kind of forward if you like. 5 in 18, and there's a 7 wood at 21 degrees, so that's not going to have a loft sleeve. And I saw a lot of 7 woods last year, particularly in that Qi10. Fleetwood using it. I think Dustin Johnson. I saw quite a few people knocking around with the Qi10.
Folks at our level are starting to play it as well. Again, on this trip I was on with Ping, which I can speak about soon. We all got to request.
Speaking about it now.
I know, yeah, but not anything specific.
Okay, cool.
I'm being loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
We were able to pick the club setup we had because we went and played, and the amount of other journos and other people who they're testing who are off, between scratch and 15.
Yeah.
A lot of 3 with 7 wood combos. It's becoming really popular broadly.
We are going to do, I think we should do a funeral special where we officially bury hybrids.
So should we get a coffin
at some point?
Should we come in like suits and a hearse and hire
nice.
The budget stretch hiring a hearse?
I think so. Yeah, we've got big time now.
We've got really character with it.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, look forward to that.
We're now into the Qi35 Max fairway, and really good. So it's big. 200 cc's for a fairway wood is pretty substantial. We've seen a bit of a shift towards that, and I think that was partly why Qi10 from last year was very popular. Slightly bigger, slightly wider, not as intimidating. It had a slightly larger footprint, and they've really lent into that in the Max. 200 cc's, like I said, is pretty big. That comes in a 3 wood, a 3 HL, and the 5. They're all loft sleeved up, but then you've also got 7 and 9 woods available there in the Max, which are bonded hosel.
Okay.
And there is a Max Lite 2 to aid launch, swing speed, slower swing speed. Yeah. Just to help everyone out a little bit. So some friendly options.
But by all accounts, of speaking to Sam again, and it's happened with all the products we've spoken about so far this year that have launched, that the story really does run down into fairways, as you'd expect. The good parts about there's good in the fairway.
Correct. There's no sort of change of message, or we're trying to do something different here with that. No different feels. No, it's a story that seems to run throughout, and I like it. I don't care what you say. I like the area of opportunity. I think there's plenty of opportunity in that.
Yeah. No, I've not hit them yet, so I'm not. So who am I to say? It just sounds like it's funny marketing words that just make me giggle nowadays.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Are we at summary stage?
We are at summary stage. There is a hybrid. Summary stage, Joe. Come on, let's sum this up then.
Everything great in driver. Loved all 3 models. Just like I say, I have my concerns for that LS purely because of the quality.
The looks model have blown us both out of the water.
There is no chance. I mean, I can't say what I've seen, but I see a lot of stuff early. Don't want to spoiler alert for anyone. In my eyes, there's nothing better looking than this.
That's one of the best looking drivers I've ever seen, full stop.
Tremendous work, TaylorMade. Absolutely tremendous work. Something for everyone in the models. The bits I didn't like about Qi10 Max have been addressed in Qi35 Max brilliantly well.
Yeah.
That's going to be in the hands of far more players. I think that's going to do extremely well. I think the Qi35 driver will be a
absolute massive deal,
classic. And again, in so many different hands, there'll be a lot of high speed players, and the best in the world I think will have that, and possibly have that in the forward weight setting.
I'm really interested to see that. That's the thing I'm going to look at foremost when the tour kicks off again.
But yeah, my main takeaway is it does what it's supposed to. Things have been addressed from last year that I think needed addressing. Looks absolutely phenomenal.
A new fitting experience to enjoy for everybody.
New fitting experience.
Accuracy, a bit more visual. Looking forward to seeing how that is received by folks who go and get fit, and by fitters themselves as well. What do you think?
About what?
How it will be received by fitters. What if you're what if you're multi-brand, and then all of a sudden everyone's coming in just for TaylorMade because they've got this funky setup, and you're like, well, should we have a look at the other one? They're like, oh, it's not got.
I don't think that's going to happen. It's not that compelling a story. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a great way to differentiate your product from other products that, like you've just said in that scenario, you might be compelled. I think it will compel the fitters to steer the fitting that way more than it will compel the player. You say, I want to see that because I want to see the Qi35 on the TrackMan. Like I think that'll be more a fitting thing, I think. And just the knowledge for the fitter that you are just getting the most accurate possible pace and club data because it's built in and it's specifically put in the right places. I think it's really clever, and I think it's really, really well executed.
And there is a hybrid.
And there is a hybrid.
The irons are just QI still from last year.
Yes, which were very good.
And that's fine. Lovely. Well done, TaylorMade. Go and see these for yourselves in person. I don't know when they hit retail. When's par? End of Jan? Start of Feb? Anyone?
Yeah. Don't know the par date. No, I don't.
I'll put it in the description.
Just giggling because I'm looking at producer Gordy, who's asleep. He's got to come back to us, Gordy. He was stumbling on.
You know what? I don't think Gordy appreciates the area of opportunity as much as you and I do.
No, Gordy, there's an area of opportunity for you to wake up.
It was their Christmas party last night. It was. It's ours tonight.
God bless you.
Well done, team. I think on that note, it probably is time to end anyway, isn't it?
I think so. I think
well done. So we are now.
We've been going there. It feels like we've been going for about 2 hours. How much were I talking there?
An hour.
Good. Good stuff.
So we've had Cobra.
Yep.
We've had Callaway. We've locked in TaylorMade now. Some would call the big 3.5. We're still missing a few, and you can fill out the rest. And they're coming very, very soon, aren't they?
Yes. How elusive of you.
I hate trailing shows like this. Everyone knows what's coming.
Sorry to treat you, kidding.
I know, yeah.
But we have
I'm not patronising this. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, comment, like, subscribe, review where you can. Hope you're still enjoying it. You can contact us on email, keeppointpodcast@futurenet.com with any questions, any comments, things you want to hear, things we can do better, things we can do worse. Actually, no. Things we're doing well that you're enjoying. And well done, Joe, again, because you are absolutely bashing them out, as it were.
Yes, as it were, and I even brought a diagram, so
that was fun. We'll post that on the Instagram page. Oh, we're on Instagram as well. Go follow us there. So until next week, with more driver news and more family news to come, we'll see you then. Well done, Joe. Goodbye.
Thank you. We're off to give Gordy a cuddle.
Bye.
Bye.